Elijah Garcia versus Armando Resendiz, 10 rounds in the 160-pound division. And this is going to be an exciting fight, man. Both men fighting with a lot to prove. And I'm expecting heavy action, well, strategic action in this fight. So let's get into it. Let's start with the young gun, Elijah Garcia. 15 wins, no losses, 12 wins by way of knockout. Now, I didn't know too much about this young man until recently, right? Because most of his fights are out in Phoenix, Arizona, the desert. So you don't really get to see him a whole lot. I saw a few fights here and there in 2021. He won both of those fights by knockout, devastating fashion. But he was fighting cats where he should beat. He should win those guys. It's not hard to see that this young man is talented. He's hungry. He's got good power, strong-minded, but most importantly is determined and has that will to be good, to be great. He just seems like one of those young cats who is willing and ready to put the work in regardless, right? When he fought Amilcar Vidal Jr., man, my goodness, yo, that was a performance and then some. Not only did it show the boxing display and the bag that he has in his skill set, but it also showed the determination and the will to keep pressing forward in the midst of adversity. His come forward pressuring style was a lot to deal with that night for Vidal. Vidal, who actually wasn't fighting a bad fight either, right? Because he had Garcia bloody, hit Garcia with some good shots, right? But Garcia never backed down any moment of that fight. He stood in front of him, kept coming, kept going to the body, going to the head, and kept it close range, kept the distance where he could get out of the way if he needed to, but also he was there to let off jabs, body shots, head shots, rip shots, whatever he needed. He didn't want to go too far away where he couldn't touch the body and know where Vidal was going to be. He just kept coming forward, mixing up his attacks, kind of like that workman-like type of style, until he landed the right shot on Vidal, wobbled him, pushed him back on the ropes, and then unloaded a barrage of shots on Vidal, and he was over with. He closed out the show in convincing fashion, really solidified himself as not just a up-and-coming prospect, but a guy who is dangerous. A guy who has a high ceiling. Really big statement win for him in that fight. After that, he fought Kevin Salgado, which was a good back and forth fight. Some rounds were close, but some rounds had clear winners. I thought Garcia fought his way into the fight. Things seemed to be a little bit slow for him in the beginning. Maybe he was trying to figure things out, maybe a little bit of nerves because of the stage, right? But it took him a while to get into the fight. And when I say a while, I mean, 3 or 4 rounds really before he got into the fight. But when he got into the fight, he started picking up the pace and started going to the body. His body work is very nice, very accurate in that regard. His overhand right is also a nice shot he's got in his bag that he caught Salgado with consistently in that fight. Salgado took some good shots, man. That dude is tough. Right. But once Garcia started finding his groove, he started to settle into the fight. One thing I did notice about him, though, was as the fight went on, he kind of got tired in the last 2 rounds. Right. Slowed down a little bit, which is expected because he hasn't really been in fights over 6 rounds. The man's been getting his opponents out of there within those rounds. So it was a good learning curve from a winning and positive standpoint for him, because you're not always going to stop your opponents, right? And the more experience you get with the longer fights, the better, especially from a cardiovascular standpoint, man, because, if there are going to be fights where you get brought into deep water, so to speak, and you're going to have to know how you're going to respond. And you don't know how you're going to respond if you haven't been in those situations and positions before. But this is a good fight, man. He's got a lot of momentum on his side, a lot of confidence, 20 years old. I mean, Garcia is on his way to being one of the tops in the division, even at this young age. If he can get the win tonight, he's going to be in great standing in a division that honestly needs some new faces to make it exciting again. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does, man. But let's talk about his opponent, Armando Resendiz. 14 wins, 1 loss, 10 wins by way of knockout. Resendiz is coming off arguably his biggest win of his career. I'm not going to say arguably. It was his biggest win of his career, upsetting the former champion Jarrett Hurd, which we'll get into shortly. Man, for those who do not know Resendiz, man, he's solid, right? This guy, he can fight. He's skillful, right? He's got good pop in his shots. His movement is good. It's fluid, good feints. He'll give you different angles and make it tough for you to not only get to him, right, but make it tough for you to figure out what he's going to do, right? And he'll find space to position himself to get his offense going, man. He can fight on the inside. I think he likes that. He likes that type of fight. And he maneuvers from in close, from inside the pocket very well, very nicely. He can box as well, too. Doesn't neglect his jab. He doesn't need a whole lot of space to get busy, right? He just needs a little crack in the window to get his shots off, whether it's hooks to the body followed by uppercuts, just a little bit of space and opportunity. And best believe he is going to take it. He's got a good chin as well. He's never been stopped before. He took some clean flush shots in different fights that I've seen of him, especially against Jarrett Hurd, and he took it and kept coming forward and kept bringing that pressure. And going into that fight, Hurd's team probably thought, this is going to be a good win for us, right? A fight that wasn't supposed to be as hard as it was on paper, but then the fight started and you could see Resendiz asserted himself early and his actions were saying, look, I know who you are. I know you got skill. Former champion. I know what you thought this was going to be, but Resendiz said it's not going to be that type of night. It's not going to be that fight. And things got noticeably harder for Jarrett Hurd, especially as the fight went on. When Hurd slowed down, that's when Resendiz pushed the pace like a veteran inside of the ring. And he wasn't just letting off single shots. It was 3 or 4 shots at a time. Not all of them had steam on them. Some of them seemed like it was just for activity to set up a shot that he wanted. Resendiz is very strategic, man. He knows what he's doing inside of that ring. Now, the fight before they stopped the fight, man, that was a round where it seemed like Resendiz caught a second win because he let off like heavy punches that landed cleanly and took advantage of a tired Jarrett Hurd, right? Hurd's lip just kept swelling up, couldn't stop bleeding. It was puffed up like a pufferfish. You know what I'm saying? Puffed up like a pufferfish. And the thing just swelled up like a balloon, man. Any boxer on any level knows when they have something and when they see something working and when they have a specific target, to hit that target, and to see what happens. So not only was Resendiz has good pop, but he's accurate as well, man. That was a big win for Resendiz, and obviously it's a great win on paper, but the confidence that it brings inside for you going into your next fight, both men are coming in very confident and they definitely believe that they're going to come out on top. And this is an exciting fight because I think it could go either way. I was impressed by both guys, as I'm sure you guys were as well. I'm expecting fireworks from both men. Both men are skilled, but I think this is a fight where it's not just going to be about the skill as much as it's about to be about the heart and the will. Both men are going to be tested and pushed, so it makes this interesting and great for us to be able to see it. So who wins? Man, this is a fight that could go either way, as I said, man. I wouldn't even rule out a draw in this case, but I'm leaning towards Garcia in this fight because every time that the camera goes to his corner gives him great advice, and he takes that advice and he's able to make adjustments immediately. He listens and makes changes right away. And I think that is going to be very beneficial for him in this fight. I think Garcia's body work is a little bit more established than Resendiz, and I think he will go to the body a lot sooner than Resendiz will. But I expect Resendiz to come strong in the second half of the fight, and I expect him to make adjustments as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what the early rounds look like. I'm expecting the middle rounds to heat up, man, as the fight goes on, man. We're going to see a lot of punches and a lot of back and forth action. I'm looking forward to seeing how it does unfold. I'm leaning towards Elijah Garcia by decision in a great back and forth fight. What are your thoughts on this fight? Who do you have winning this one? Let me know in the comment section below. If you would like to support the channel, there's a couple ways you can do so. You can like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like support by way of donation, you can find options in the description below. Also, my Cash App handle will be on screen as well. Any amount goes towards the growth of this channel and will be greatly, greatly appreciated. We got a membership section going on the channel. Don't always get to do all the suggested videos you guys suggest in the comment section below, but if you become a member, those suggested videos rise to the top and will be greatly, greatly appreciated. Or if you would like to become a member just to support the channel, that would be greatly, greatly appreciated as well, man. Shout out to everybody that has donated in some capacity, whether it's to the Cash App, PayPal, or Super Thanks, man. It truly, truly does mean a lot, and it really, really is appreciated. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video this long, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.